The 4 differences between PMS and PMDD are the cause, the duration, the severity, and the prevalence. Let's dive into each of these. Hello. Today we're talking about 4 differences between PMS and PMDD. But before we get started, I want to remind you that you can watch these podcast episodes on YouTube, and I would love to see you there. There's a link below in the show notes. So while PMS and PMDD share some similarities, they differ significantly in these 4 ways we are about to cover. And understanding these differences is crucial for proper diagnosis and reduction of your symptoms and long-term management of your symptoms. So this is a pretty big deal. Now, I want to preface this by saying I have a lot more to say about all of these 4 differences, and we need more robust research in these areas to really definitively be able to pinpoint more in depth the differences, but this is what we're working with now, currently, as of 2024. We're starting with the first difference between PMS and PMDD, and that is going to be the cause. PMS is believed to be caused by a hormonal imbalance, whereas PMDD is believed to be caused by an abnormal reaction in the brain to the natural fluctuation of sex hormones, primarily neurosteroid hormones, estradiol, which is estrogen, and progesterone. So the cause between PMS and PMDD is believed to be different. The second difference between PMS and PMDD is the duration that we are experiencing symptoms for. So PMS symptoms typically last 3 to 5 days, and they present in the second week of the luteal phase. So if you don't know, that's okay. I didn't learn this until I was 28 years old. But there are 4 phases of the menstrual cycle, and the phase before you menstruate, the premenstrual phase, is called the luteal phase. This phase is generally 10 to 16-ish days. It can vary. We at least want it to be 10 days minimum, but the symptoms of PMS are occurring in that last premenstrual week before menstruation. So 3 to 5 days before menstruation. PMDD, on the other hand, is lasting for a duration of up to 2 weeks and can start at ovulation. So right after you ovulate, or right around when you ovulate, this is going to be 2 weeks before menstruation, symptoms can arise and last that entire time. Something else to know is that a recent study came out identifying 3 different subtypes of PMDD symptom presentation, which we'll probably cover in another episode. But this study did find that for people, sometimes the symptoms are starting later in the luteal phase and lasting longer through or into the menstrual phase. So we'll come back to that. But the key takeaway in this second point is that the duration of PMDD symptoms generally last much longer than the duration of PMS symptoms. The third difference between PMS and PMDD is the severity. So PMS symptoms are usually mild to moderate in intensity. They can cause some discomfort, but it generally doesn't significantly impair daily functioning. Where PMDD, on the other hand, is generally and often moderate to severe symptoms that are often described as debilitating. PMDD symptoms significantly impact our quality of life and our ability to function daily. The PMDD symptoms can impact our work performance, our relationships, and our overall well-being. which if you're here, I'm sure you know that very well. The average female in the United States is experiencing around 459 menstrual cycles throughout her childbearing years. And for those with PMDD, this means enduring an average of 6.4 days of severe symptoms per cycle. Just going to go ahead and say that most of my clients and students experience more than 6.4 days of severe symptoms, closer to 2 weeks of severe symptoms. But over a lifetime, those 6.4 days from this study adds up to roughly 8 years living with debilitating symptoms. So 8 years of your life, which is a gross underestimate, as I'm going to say here again, are consumed with debilitating symptoms. In the United States, under the Americans with Disability Act, and in the UK, under the Equality Act, PMDD can fall into the disability category when symptoms are being experienced in a severe fashion, as they are, for over 12 months. So just a little bit more info for you there to consider when we're looking at the differences between the severity of symptoms when it comes to PMS versus PMDD. The fourth difference between PMS and PMDD is the prevalence. So PMS is extremely common, with some studies showing 75% of females of reproductive age experiencing PMS, while other studies showing 90% of females of reproductive age reporting PMS symptoms. PMDD is much less common, estimated to impact approximately 3 to 8% of reproductive aged females. Now, because PMDD is so often undiagnosed and misdiagnosed, I do suspect that this estimation is on the lower side, but you can kind of think about it as PMDD is about as common, according to one study, as diabetes in females, which is also increasing rapidly. So it might not be the best comparison, but 1 in 20 with this statistic, 1 in 20 females of reproductive age, women who are menstruating, females who are menstruating are experiencing PMDD is what the estimate is. Again, I think that is probably grossly underestimated. Either way, understanding these key differences is crucial to getting a proper diagnosis, to learning how to reduce and manage your symptoms effectively and sustainably over the long term. And you need to know about these differences. So take all that information in. Let me know what you think. There will be more information in the show notes, including citations. But thanks for joining me to dive into these 4 differences between PMS and PMDD.